You have a past person all tied up in knots. This is the energy of you are that song that they skipped and found out later was fire. This person is in a lot of regret at this point in time at having not fought harder for this connection, to work through obstacles internally or externally, not seeing your value and worth when you were open and available and the moment was right and the mood was right. And they either, this feels like somebody that might have been like, I'll just save this for later. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And they kind of like went off in the direction of other pursuits. This could have been something as well that they were very discouraged by the intensity between the two of you. They might have equated that with like, ooh, is this the makings of a toxic relationship? Or they were so, their palate was so acclimated to toxicity in romance that they couldn't recognize that you brought something to the table that actually would have been for their highest good. And now they see, though, this is somebody, it feels like, who has been on a very long journey since you have parted ways with one another. This is bringing to mind like dark night of the soul has happened, multiple dark night of the souls have happened, something where their eyes have been opened. I'm hearing I'm awake. So this is somebody that is now like awake in general, awake to this connection, awake to what they missed out on. And this is feeling like it's like they're emotionally overwhelmed. Like, I am awake now. I couldn't hear what you had to say before. I couldn't appreciate who you are to me, or the experience that we had the potential to, build or to explore. Because a lot of you, this will be just like a failure to launch. This is somebody that just dropped the ball. It might have been a very short-lived connection. There was no action taken. For others of you, this is something where they might have just kind of like ghosted very quickly. Things were going well, and then all of a sudden they changed up on you with no explanations. And it feels like a lot of that was rooted in kind of like the fear or the intensity of things that were happening within the midst of the connection that they might not have made you aware of at the time, that they've come to understand and appreciate in a different way. They might have been seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities. They could have had like Kundalini activations, heart chakra activations, crown chakra activations, something that they just equated with kind of like, I feel very out of my element. This feels very unusual. A lot of spiritual things happening, a lot of deja vu. They might have had influences and people in their life that question the nature of that intensity or the dynamic between the two of you, how it was all playing out, gave them bad advice on what to do or what to proceed, or sort of like talked fear into their plans or into their perception as far as like the dynamic between the two of you is concerned. And so they chose to like move off in another direction or reject you, or just sort of, for some, kind of just let the connection fade. They just stopped participating. You were the one that was like doing all the heavy lifting. You were doing all the hard work. You were holding on to that energy of belief, and they kind of just sat back. And at a certain point in time, you might have been like, hey, I got to choose me. I got to choose someone that chooses me. And if no one is around that's showing up in that way, well, I'd rather be in a solitary energy than holding space for someone that can't be consistent, doesn't know what they want, or has just flat out rejected me. And so, yeah, this is somebody that it feels like their eyes are wide open at this particular point in time. Like they're looking at their life in general in a very different way. It feels like this is somebody who may be living a more spiritually attuned life at this particular moment in time, or they're starting to kind of get certain things that you were hinting at and you were suggesting, maybe even like changes that you were starting to make in your life in the pursuit of your highest good. activated by this connection. This could definitely be a twin flame dynamic, or maybe even just kind of a path that you were walking in general, that was sort of leading you in the direction of change, like change for the better, that triggered this person's like fear of change, fear of the unknown, things where they didn't really like understand aspects of kind of like who you were or who you were striving to become, or things that you talked about, or again, like things that they were experiencing, behind the scenes that kind of like freak them out in a way of sort of like, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't want to know. That's coming through as well. I don't want to know. So this is somebody that like put on blinders very deliberately to this connection. They've not been able to outrun that. They've not been able to outrun this experience. And it feels like something, and I'm hearing now I'm a karmic. So it feels like this is somebody that definitely could be a twin flame connection where you've had to choose yourself. You could have aligned with a high level soulmate, or you're getting ready to do that. And this person has felt the energetic snap of that experience, like time's up on that soul contract. And so now they've been kind of reclassified energetically as just a karmic. Like they chose that pathway through inaction or through actions that they took kind of like in the opposite direction of working with you, or kind of like doing what they needed to do to heal and to up level and to like meet you where you are, and to grow and evolve with you and in this connection. Also, this person, again, could have gone through a lot of things personally that now they have an understanding about the nature of things and people and ideas and places that they like kept close or that were part of their orbit, that they see now. It's like these things were only like holding me back. They were only stifling me. You're the person that brought the energy of freedom. You're the person that brought kind of the light that was shining towards a pathway of like a higher experience in life and in love. And I pushed you away. I disregarded this. I rejected this circumstance. And so this is somebody that is almost like they've been fumbling around in the dark without a light, and they're very drawn to your energy. This is something where it feels like they have had like a sudden urge to like look you up. Definitely could be, like secret admirer, kind of like watching from afar. Now they're keeping tabs on you. It feels like there was a period of time where they might have blocked you, ignored you, kind of just did everything possible to not look at you and look at this situation. But now their attention is on you. This can also be something that through some kind of like synchronicity, through some kind of serendipity, you've come across their feed, social media. You've come across their awareness. You came up in conversation. People might have mentioned you, like, hey, remember so-and-so? Well, this is what they're up to now, and it's wonderful. This person is now focused on you, and it's this almost sinking feeling of like, I could have been there enjoying that with this person. I should have been standing there next to them. That should have been me there moving forward. And I'm here instead, and wherever they got going on in their life. For some, this is somebody that's like, I got to get back there. I got to redeem myself. I got to reconcile. I see the light. I have to kind of find a way to make amends. And so again, this is something where this is almost like an agony for this person at this point, sort of like watching you and how you've evolved, your glow up, whatever you have going on in your life right now, that it feels like this person's like very proud of you. And there's also a sense of like, I should have been there to support you. I should have been there to, kind of walk this road with you. Or, they're asking themselves questions like, if I hadn't given up on this so soon, if I'd like listened to my gut, listen to my intuition, I wonder what could have happened between the two of us. So they're sending good vibes, but there's also this kind of like heavy or sad energy of like someone who really feels like they missed out. They missed out on an opportunity with you. And maybe that's their karmic lesson. For others of you, this is somebody that is kind of like they're watching and sort of like, okay, how do I approach? How do I come forth? How do I express that like I'm the same person and yet I'm different, or I'm on this trajectory of change? What I had to offer before wasn't good, or I withheld what I had to offer before, but now I want to pour in, now I want to give to this situation. And we have, I know more than you think. So yeah, this is definitely past person keeping tabs on you. They've gotten some bit of information. They've caught wind of something, and it feels like it has set them off to the races as far as like looking you up, watching your social media, trying to gather information, trying to sort of like think back on almost like how did this happen? How did we end up in this situation? How did you end up as the person that you are now? And I've got whatever I've got going on in my life. For some, there's sort of like their life has changed, that dark night of the soul, and they're having to like start from scratch, build over in some sort of way. For others, it's just like your roads kind of diverged from one another, and there's a sense of like, how do I build a bridge between where I am and where you are? Is it even possible for us to reconnect? Is this a circumstance of you were the right person, it was the wrong time, but I can't just stroll back in casually and think that it'll all be okay? Like, what do I do in order to redeem myself in this situation? And so there's a lot of kind of thought going into this. There's a lot of energy being directed to both the past between the two of you, their journey so far, and how they're able to kind of assume or even kind of deciphered that, like, wow, there were these intersections between us. Even at a distance, we were walking a parallel path. So what does that mean for the future? This is definitely somebody that wants to come back in and speak to you. And so they're like trying to find that in. They're trying to find that way to contact you, to reach out, to present themselves in the light of day. And we also have, I'm going to take action. I'm just planning the approach. So it feels like this person, if you reject them, you reject them. If you'll hear them out, if you'll give them the opportunity to, explain themselves or to show up in a different way than they did before, it feels like this person is very determined not to just sort of like let this sit as an unfinished symphony. Like, they're seeing it as an unfinished symphony between the two of you, even though you may have just like, I got to create closure for myself. I got to move forward with my life. You've needed to heal from this. You've needed to move on. Again, like, you chose yourself because this person rejected you. They weren't choosing you in this connection. You have taken steps forward in the direction of like, I'm building a life without this individual. I'm going to assume rightly that like our story is finished for this lifetime. And this person's like, no. Where do you think you're going? Hold on, wait for me. And so there's a sense that they understand maybe that after things that have happened or time that has passed, they can't just ask you to sit and wait. That it won't be easy for them to kind of get their foot back in the door. For others, it's just kind of like they're getting ready to sort of give you that heartfelt message, and then that's it. There's no real hope or expectation that you give them the time of day again, or there's a sense of like, I just got to get this out there. I got to just like let this person know that I see the light, that I made a mistake, that I'm sorry. And we also have, I regret walking away from you. Yeah, so that regret has hit them like a ton of bricks. This is something that they think about this on a regular basis. This is something that when they first like saw your picture, when they first like connected back in energetically, when they first sort of like, okay, I'm gonna look, I'm gonna unblock, I'm gonna seek out, I'm gonna find, I'm gonna observe. This is something that it was a sinking feeling inside of like, wow, I really misjudged that person. I misjudged this situation. I, did a number on this person. I did them dirty. I was very unfair, or, and it's something where it's almost like they understand they were motivated by fear, or it didn't need to kind of play out the way that it played out. And so for a lot of you, this is something where this person is like, if I were in their situation, I wouldn't talk to me again. I would just ignore that message. I would block that message. I just wouldn't even respond. But there's a sense of almost like feeling that there's now some kind of like karmic obligation to try and set the record straight, to at least reach out and be like, hey, I'm proud of you, congratulations, I see that you've done the work, or you made a positive like change in your life, looks like you got some really good things going on. I just wanted to let you know I'm proud of you. Like, for a lot of you, this is sort of like, they're kind of coming in with this heaviness and this sorrow and this kind of disappointment, which again, maybe their karma, like they've reclassified themselves from soulmate to karmic, from twin flame to karmic, whatever, or even to a catalyst, something like that. But it's somebody that it feels like it's almost like, I can't rest until I say something, until I at least speak that truth of like, I was wrong and I'm sorry. And we also have, I really do miss you a lot. So it feels like this person has evolved into a version of themselves through things that are no longer a part of their life, where they are able now, like this current version of them could totally receive and reciprocate with you on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, on an actual level. Aspects of themselves that were just very dormant or asleep before, or needed to be cultivated through the experience of loss, are being cultivated in this moment in time, the more they're kind of sitting in that observer energy and realizing what they missed out on, it feels like it's changing them in real time. For some of you, this may really be like right person, wrong time. And then the stars are aligning, the time is passing, it is becoming right, or the time is right now for the two of you to really have that transcendent experience, to really not just kiss and make up, but kind of align as you were always meant to. Like if it's a true twin flame connection, this can signal like the beginning of that union, that kind of like merging of the higher self energies anchoring into the 3D sense, and then you walk forward along that pathway in life and in love as you were meant to, as this connection was intended to. But it feels like the burden is on this person to really prove to you like it's worth your while to trust me, it's worth your while to give me a chance, it's worth your while to hear me out. It feels like somebody that is kind of just like they're sitting in your energy, but they're kind of like they're scared to come forth too quickly. There's a sense of I don't want you to push me out, or maybe you've even sensed this person energetically and you're like, yeah, no, you had your chance, and that time has expired and I have now moved forward. But this is somebody that it feels like regardless if you like reject them or you'll hear them out, this is somebody that's like, I will always love you. I now understand that. Whatever your story looked like in the material world, there's almost like they understand spiritual love now because of you. You will be equated for this person with like the love of their life on a certain level. Even if it's something that never got off the ground, they are now in a place of awareness of kind of like, we encountered one another in this lifetime because this was that spark that would have been life-changing. This was that chemistry that would have been life-changing. This is now that lesson that has changed my perceptions on love and the gift of love and precious things like that, and how we must cherish them, we must nurture them, we must protect them, we must not take them for granted or kind of just push them aside or run in the face of that kind of truth. So this person's like feeling very profoundly for you in this situation, and a profound sense of like missing out. Yeah, we also have, I've been feeling your presence around me. So this is somebody, it feels like that now they're getting all the downloads. They're getting all the contact in the dream space. They're the one that is kind of like knocking on the door to the higher self dimension and sort of like, let me in, I'm ready to come back in from the cold. So you may have felt this person's presence around you. You may have felt them kind of tugging at your energy, feeling the energy of somebody like lurking in the 3D sense. Definitely could, be this person for sure that is like, I'm wanting to come back in. This can also kind of signal something where you're getting ready to align with someone that isn't going to put you through whatever this person put you through. That is that kind of replacement, that higher level soulmate. Something where this individual has exercised their free will and they've recategorized themselves as a lesson from a previous chapter of your reality. You are still meant to have high vibrational love in this life. You've done the work on yourself, so you get that. You have earned that. And this can be this person sort of like feeling that final moment of detachment of kind of like, yeah, you missed out in this lifetime. And so now this is something that they're going to have to almost sit with that awareness as something that, maybe in another lifetime or something that kind of, helps to sort of influence or illuminate a path forward for them to, continuing to choose or trying to choose like from their highest good rather than from patterns of fear, rather than from wounding, rather than from ego, rather than from sort of like, toxic people or influences that they have around them. This is somebody that has learned the hard way what it means to kind of like farm out that free will to circumstances that did nothing internally or externally other than just kind of like cage them. And they also say the thought of explaining myself and apologizing scares me. I don't want to see the pain I've caused in your eyes. Yeah, so this is someone that knows they owe you an apology. They owe you an explanation. I'm hearing you're right. So this could have been somebody that, denied feelings, denied the connection. Something where you could have even told them like, you're going to regret this someday. You're going to wish you'd made a different choice. Something where now they see, now they are feeling that. Now there's that heaviness. Now there's that remorse. And that can be enough that is kind of like, it's now fuel for this person to continue to evolve. Maybe that further down the road or even right now, the time is right for a genuine reconnection. But for others, this is just like, this is the biggest lesson of this person's life. The love of their life that could have been, that now is just something that is in that kind of higher realm possibility of what if. They can go on and live their life however they choose. You will go on and live your life very beautifully, however you choose. But it's something where it's kind of like there was a window of opportunity. The divine had, sort of like a stopwatch, and like, okay, you got this amount of time to figure this out and kind of, pull the rabbit out of the hat, and they didn't do that. And so they're feeling that like a door has shut between the two of you. And the only way that they feel to kind of like start a new cycle, or to kind of write themselves into your future as more than just a footnote of your past, is to come forth with a rigorous degree of honesty and a willingness to very genuinely work to rebuild with you in a pace and manner that is on your terms, not on their terms. And they're aware of that. And so it's almost like that's the challenge at this point. Can they do that? Is it even possible? Is that even something that you want right now? They also say, I'm so attracted to you, you don't know what you do to me. So whatever this person's level of intensity of attraction that it existed before, it's like multiplied tenfold. This is something that like, you are looking really good. You are glowing, you are vibrating at that high frequency. You're like an earth angel, and they can see your wings now. They can see that halo, they can see that shimmer in your aura, where it's kind of like, I couldn't perceive that before. I was blind and I couldn't see, and now I see the light, and you are the light. So it feels like even if you don't take this person back, you reject them, or just kind of respond with silence, because it feels like for most of you, this person is going to reach out. They are going to say something. They are going to take a chance. They're going to make that effort. This is something that's like, I'm always going to love you. I will always send you good vibes, good thoughts. I will always wish you well. I see this was my loss. Any kind of like negativity that they might have been projecting out, or any kind of like bitterness that they'd held within themselves in the past about this situation, it's like that's been totally erased, almost like shadows dissipating in the light. You are this light, and it's something where it's like they are drawn to you. They understand now that this is more than just something that was like a chemistry, or it feels good on the surface, or it looks good on the surface. This is somebody that's like, their soul recognizes you, and also recognizes the loss, through this kind of like silence, through the decision to walk away, or kind of push you away. Yeah, we also have, I want to reconcile with you. So again, this is somebody, for most of you, you're going to hear from this person. And they may even be like, I don't expect you to respond, or I don't blame you for just ignoring me, but there's going to be a lot of truth that is spilled. This isn't just somebody coming in with like, I miss you, how's it going, how you doing? They're not trying to like sweep anything under the rug or just be very nonchalant. This is something where they're getting ready to pour their heart out to you. Like, all they can think to do is just be honest, and maybe that honesty will set the two of you free from that cycle where they walked away in the past into this experience of like, maybe there's still hope for us. And we also have, I know you are my twin flame. So for a percentage of you, this is somebody that will use that term. Maybe you used that term with them in the past, and they're like, you're crazy. I don't know what that means. I don't believe in any of that. Like, get out of here. And this is somebody that they're a believer now. They have come upon this realization of their own accord. It has become very apparent to them in some way. For others of you, this is kind of like, they may dance around terms like soulmate. I'm in love with you. I'm still in love with you. You're the love of my life. Things like that, where it feels like whatever they bring forth to you in terms of that communication, there's going to be a lot of honesty. There's going to be a lot of apology. There may also be a lot of excuses that they try to make, a lot of explanations, a lot of kind of like bringing up past events, which may sort of show you that this isn't something that would be like a quick reunion. For those of you that would entertain the possibility of like, okay, we can work on this. I'll give you an opportunity, sort of like, show me what you got. It's very obvious that they're kind of like standing on the foundation of the wreckage of the past, but it's up to them to kind of reach higher, to move beyond that, to transcend beyond those wounds, to provide enough apology in the form of changed action that they could find a way, or you could choose to make a way within your life to bring them in again. Not as it was before, but in a redefined sort of way. it's almost like the power balance between the two of you, or the roles you previously took in this situation are switched. Now this is somebody, this is almost like a runner becomes a chaser. They see what they missed out on. They see what they had now that it is gone. It has become very apparent to them, not just in terms of like, you look better, you look good, you made changes for the better, but something where this person is like walking a more spiritual path, or they've had some kind of spiritual awakening, or things have just like happened that have caused them to sort of shift their priorities, shift their focus. They're able to like see things more clearly. They're able to perceive that you were like the best option out of all the choices of different things they could have remained loyal to, or kept around in their life. This is the idea of somebody that like had a diamond and they threw it out in the ocean, and now they're looking around at all these kind of pebbles and like, this is not, this is not good, this is not wonderful. I had something wonderful, I had the chance to, you know, build something wonderful. I had a wealth, a treasury, and I disposed of it. I got rid of it. I turned it away. I rejected it. And so there's a sense of really, again, like the loss is theirs in this situation. And so you know, it may be very surprising the way in which they try to communicate, the things that they say, the efforts that they try to make, the level of honesty. And it feels like for a lot of you, even if you're just like, I've closed out of that chapter, I've moved on, I'm not interested, you're going to be able to feel like this person is very genuine with their apology. This person is very genuine, like it comes from a genuine place within whatever they're trying to express. But it really may be like, you know, a too little too late. Like that soul contract has expired, and you know, whatever your beliefs are on twin flames and twin flame dynamics are your beliefs, but it may be something where it's kind of like, there is no guarantee that just because you're in a twin flame dynamic, it needs to result in like 3D union with another person. It may be something where it's like, yeah, your higher selves continue to be connected on and on into eternity, but in this 3D reality, in the material world here and now, your paths have diverged in other directions through your choices and through their choices. And that's the guarantee. That's the hard and fast reality. That may be something that is kind of like represents sort of the nature of, for the duration of this lifetime, what it is between the two of you. They can just love you from afar. You can continue to move in the direction of a love which chooses you, which sees you, which honors you, which recognizes you, which cherishes you in a way that this person, regardless of the label that you want to attach to them, that they weren't able to do before, and that they didn't come to an awareness was possible, or didn't choose to try to make the effort to do prior to like this moment in time, which for a lot of you, it's too little too late. But for a lot of you, this signals like, okay, finally we are here at that turning point. It took a while, or you know, it took a lot of shaping of the two of us as individuals to come to this point in time, but like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to hear you out, and you're ready to bring something. So show yourself, you know, show me what you got. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.